This week, we're talking about how to do things your way.
You are listening to Love Your Job Before You Leave It, the podcast for ambitious, high-achieving women who are ready to stop feeling stressed about work and kiss burnout goodbye forever. Whether you're starting a business or staying in your day job, this show will give you the coaching and guidance you need to start loving your work today. Here's your host, career coach Corey Lynn.
Hey, y'all. Happy Wednesday. I have something to talk to y'all about that I'm so excited. So I was having a phone call with a friend the other day, and this friend is an architect. So she is really into like high design, right? Like making high design buildings. And we were talking about networking, and she was saying like she doesn't like to go to like big networking events, but like virtual ones. I think they were virtual that we were talking about, right? So it's like not wanting to go to like these like virtual networking events. You know, there's like all this common advice in like the career world and the business world and like the life world, the love world, all the things, right? There's like always all this advice of like, this is how you do things and this is how you blah, blah, blah. And like, you have to do these things. And so like one of the things that is like pretty common is this idea that like to get business, you have to like network, and that networking means like specific things. And she and I were talking about this, and I was just like, okay, but like, you don't want to design buildings that like look just like everyone else's buildings. So why would you do networking? Like, why would you tell yourself you have to do networking in the way that everyone else does networking? Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. Like, what would be the high design version of this? And we kind of like jammed on this topic, and like, it was a really cool conversation about like, what if like we oriented everything to that? Like, what's the high design version of networking? What's the high design version of leading a team? What's the high design marriage? What's the high design way of parenting? What's the high design way of like approaching your health? And what I like about this idea was it was like cued in to something that already really matters to her and an area where she already feels really confident. And it was also all about like her being able to do things her way versus having to do them the way that experts, like quote unquote experts and literal experts, you know, maybe have like said she has to do them. And I think this is such a compelling idea, especially in a world where like we have so much access to information. I read so many books written by experts. I read so many articles. I listen to so many podcasts. Like, we have the fucking internet. We can just consume and consume and consume information and like learn all these things that like all these important, smart people say or like how to do stuff. And it's not that that's wrong. That's not wrong at all. And it's a great asset. It's a great skill to be able to go learn from people who have already done the thing you want to do, or who have like done a bunch of science about how things work. Like, listen, I talk about other people's ideas and like stuff like that and share science and things all the time here on the podcast. But also, I want to be very clear that you are allowed to do things your own way. You are encouraged by me right now to do things your own way. And that it doesn't matter how many fucking experts are out there saying like, you have to do blah, blah, blah to succeed. Like, it might be wise to do blah, blah, blah. Like, there might be data that suggests doing blah, blah, blah really works. But also, like, I am here for possibility. Like, that is what I'm all about. And so just because someone else hasn't figured out a way to do it without doing blah, 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 doesn't mean you can't figure out a way to do it without doing blah, blah, blah. And I realize this speech may sound like less exciting because I keep saying blah, blah, blah. But you know what? That's the way I'm doing it. So that's the way we're doing it here. Okay. So basically, what I am saying is I'm inviting you to believe that you can do things that have never been done before. I'm inviting you to believe that you can do things in ways that have never been done before, right? So like, take anything. Let's take like salary negotiations. They're like the rules of salary negotiations. They're like, here's what the experts say about how to do it. But that doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You get to decide what you want to do. You get to decide what seems fun to you. You get to take risks that other people think are crazy. You get to not take risks that other people think make sense. And I think this is so important because so many people right now that I talk to are craving a satisfying, delicious life for them, but they're trying to create it by following every fucking one else's rules. And that is not working for a lot of people, right? And this is a lot of what like socialization is about too. Our social conditioning, the messages that we receive as children, they're telling us like, this is how you have a good life. This is how you be meaningful. This is how you matter. This is what's important. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And a lot of that social conditioning is like not working for people, right? It's creating lives where people are burnt out. It's creating lives where people feel like shit. It's creating lives where people feel overwhelmed. It's creating lives where like people are like getting married and having kids when they don't even want to do that because like that's what culture and society say having the good life is. So basically this whole podcast this week is about like, what would it look like to do it your way? What would it look like to figure out what would be fun and interesting for you versus doing things the way that the experts say you have to, right? So like maybe you have a business like my friend, the architect, and like you want to get clients and like the common, teaching is like, oh, you get clients by going to big networking events, but you don't want to. What is the way in which you would want to do it? What seems fun and interesting to you? For the architect, the idea of high design, that spoke to her, but that might not speak to you. For you, it might be something else, right? Like maybe your whole thing is like you love witty banter, right? I don't know. I just pulled that up off the top of my head. If you like witty banter, but like you're going to networking events and like trying to be like serious and like look like a business person, like arguably you could be getting clients more slowly than if you were like being yourself and doing witty banter if that's what you like. And actually, I have some great examples of this from my own career because when I first launched my coaching business, I was like, I'm a career coach. So like, I need to like look like a professional, serious person. And I need to like wear blazers. Listen, I still like blazers, but like, I also like crop tops. And now I'm like, you know what? If I want to wear a crop top and like my social media picture, I'm going to fucking do it. And that's who I want to be. And like, I do think when I first started my business, like I was like, I'm going to teach people how to have a better career, but I was still struggling with so much of like how to let myself be the person I wanted to be in my own career, even in my business. And that's really been something I've been developing over the years. And I think that's good to like share with y'all because like it's not a one and done. And you also don't have to be perfect to be helping people. Like back when I was trying to be like kind of more serious and professional than I actually wanted to be, I was still able to coach people and add value. So I'm not like trying to shit on that past version of me, but I just want to point out that like it's taken a lot of growth and learning for me to actually be able to do this thing that I'm inviting y'all to do. And I think that's important because like if you are like, I too want to wear crop tops and like do high design networking or whatever you want to do, and then you go to do that and it feels fucking hard and terrifying, that's okay. I'm with you. You're in a safe space with that because doing the things that the experts say to do does feel safer because we're counting on the experts to know. Whereas when we're like, how would I do it? How do I want to do it? Like, what would it be to be high design? What would it be to do whatever like my thing is, right? Like witty banter, like, whatever. When we're doing it our way, we can no longer take the safety from the fact that we're following the experts. When we're following experts, when we're following our social conditioning, all of that, it's like part of us is like, well, I'll be safe because I'm deferring to these experts. So what we're doing is we're like kind of like assigning them responsibility for our safety. And we're trying to create safety by like following rules, basically. And what I'm pitching to you today is that you don't have to do that. And actually, it can be much more fun and much more success creating to not do that. Also, here's what I discovered. I could get business success doing it that way, but then I had a business I didn't like very much. So one of the things about running a business for me has been that like I've been like building and then unbuilding and then rebuilding and then unbuilding and then rebuilding my business over and over and over and over and over again since I launched it a little under 4 years ago. And that's what happens when we're unlearning our socialization. Like we don't unlearn it all overnight. We unlearn it bit by bit. And like me being myself in my business and me doing it my way, it's like a progression. It's like a spectrum. It's been a spectrum and I've been coming more and more into it. And guess what? 5 years from now, I'll probably doing things my way and like a way that right now would blow my fucking mind. So this is not at all about being perfect, but it's about inviting yourself to try different things. And like in a lot of ways, this is also about like Maybe it's a little bit about like following your intuition, following like little gut ideas about like what might be useful or interesting or successful or good or feel nice. But it's also about tuning into yourself and going, how do I want to do it? And then seeing what information comes up and then deciding what you want to do with that information. And you don't have to implement it all right away. Like I knew that I wanted to wear crop tops in my marketing materials for a really long time before I posted my first picture in a crop top. And honestly, I don't post that many in a crop top because I don't post my torso in that many of my photos. Mostly my photos are like silly selfies or like headshots that my amazing friend Shayna took, and at this point it's been a few years since she took them. So the crop top, acceptance has not been in effect long enough that any of my old headshots involve crop tops. Never did I ever think I was going to record a podcast for y'all that said the word crop top so much, but here it is, and you're welcome. So the thing about this is an example of something that is probably like going to feel really yummy, but also a lot like shit at the same time. My coach, Cara Lowenthal, calls this Barf Club. And Barf Club is when you're doing something that's like moving you more in line with your values, moving you more in line with like who you want to be, but also just feels wildly uncomfortable. And honestly, like the whole entire experience of building my business has been mostly Barf Club, with like a lot of delight and celebration as well. But anytime I was doing something that like I'd never done before or trying something new, it felt like Barf Club. And this does too, because we're like leaving that safety behind. But I just want to offer to you that like, we're not actually leaving safety behind. We're leaving what I'm going to call faux safety behind, because following expert advice doesn't guarantee us anything. Doing things the way we were told to do doesn't guarantee us anything. And a lot of times when people live their lives that way, then they wind up with a life that they don't really like. They wind up with a career they want to run away from. They wind up with like a relationship they can't be themselves in. They wind up with a house that like they can't afford sometimes. Like that happens also when people are, trying to do things in this way that other people say to do versus like the way that they want to do them. So what I'm offering to you is not a risk-free way. There are no risk-free ways. What I'm offering to you is that like there's risk in everything. There's risk in following what the experts say, and there's risk also in choosing for yourself how you want to do things and who you want to be. And listen, let's not apply black and white thinking to this. Let's not be a total perfectionist about it. I still follow lots of expert advice, right? Like I brush my teeth twice a day. I floss once a day. I eat a fuckload of vegetables. I drink a lot of water. But I realize that I'm in charge of my life, and I don't want to defer the delight and the responsibility of that to what other people think I should be doing, because other people aren't me, and other people are human and fallible, and they can be just as wrong as I can. And at the end of my life, I want to believe and know and see that I made something for me and that I did it in a way that felt good to me. And I'm willing to do some, failure, and probably some spectacular failure along the way to get there. Because when we want to do something that's never been done, when we want to do something in a way that's never been done, yeah, it might not work the first time. It might not work the 38th time. But also we have the potential to create something fucking mind-blowing that the world's never seen before. Like we have the ability to disrupt industries. We have the ability to change like what everyone else thinks they should be doing, right? Because there's always like an expert who says to do one thing, and then some new expert comes along and says, no, we're going to do this other thing. And then 5 years later, everyone's following that new expert. Like you could be the new expert. You could be the new expert on how to negotiate a salary increase. You could be the new expert on how to get a new job. You could be the new expert on how to get more business. You could be the new expert on how to do motion graphic design. You could be the new expert. And that doesn't mean you have to be. It doesn't mean you have to want to be. I just want you to know it's an option. I just want you to know that if you want to do things your way, you're allowed to. You were always allowed to, but our culture has probably encouraged you not to. So I want to be the one who encourages you to like do whatever the fuck you want for whatever reasons you want, because you're a whole ass adult and you get to build your life. And here's the thing. You already are the one building your life. Whether you're building it by what experts say or whether you're building it by what you decide, you're the one doing all of that. So just be honest with yourself that you are in total choice, not about everything. Listen, like I know there are external circumstances, like we live in, a heteronormative, white supremacist, patriarchal culture with like lots and lots of bullshit. I'm not saying that's not real. It is. But I am saying that who you choose to be in that is up to you, and that you do not have to listen to experts. And I would say, especially if the experts don't understand your lived experience, maybe they shouldn't be the people who you listen to. Like you can if you want to, but you can also take what they say and edit it, revise it, make it work for you. You can make it your own instead of just trying to do things the way that other people tell you to and either like hating it or like then you don't do it and you feel guilty for it. Cause like that's what was going to happen with my friend was she was like, I just don't want to do that. And I was like, okay, but like, then why would you? And like, what if we just believe that you could do it this other way and get better results? And like, let's just make that happen. And then we can be the example of what we want to be possible, right? Kind of like, I don't think people should work 40 hours a week. Like, listen, if you want to, whatever, but I don't think we should have to. I don't think it should be the normal. I've read about studies where like they, reduced the work hours to like 30 instead of 40 and they compressed and they like, basically, I'm sure some shit didn't get done, but like the important things still got done. And I'm like, yeah, let's all do that. Right. So if I'm like letting the experts tell me what my life needs to be like, they're like, well, work is something we do for 40 hours a week and like and like this is how we do it. And I'm just like, no, fuck that. That's not the life I want. I'm not doing it that way. But now I have to figure out how to do it my way and make it work. But like I was going to have to do that anyways, because even if I worked 40 hours, I'm still the one who has to like figure it out and make it work. Right. So who do you want to be? It's a big question, but like, who do you want to be? What do you want to do in your life? What are there areas in your life where trying to do it the way other people has told you to is creating chafing? Because if doing things the way other people have told you to is like working for you and it feels great, maybe we leave that for now. And if doing things the way other people have told you to, like you don't love it, but you're like, yeah, it's probably wise. Like that's how I feel about flossing. It's like not my favorite, but I'm like, I'm going to do it. The data in my personal life seems to corroborate that I get fewer cavities. So I'm going to do it. But if there are things where trying to like follow the rules or do it another person's way is creating like severe chafing, emotional chafing, or literal chafing, any chafing, right? How would you like to do it? And like pull in your own super strengths or pull in the things that are meaningful to you and then use that as a frame. Like for my friend, it was the high design. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but pull those in and give yourself a way to see this problem through a different lens of like as something solvable where there could be an option that feels fucking delicious to you. And yeah, it'll still feel scary because you'll be making yourself the expert versus deferring to another one, but it could feel amazing too. And that's what I want for you. I want you to have a satisfying as fuck, one of a kind, like wildly delicious to you life and career. And this is part of how we make that happen is admitting to ourselves that we can do things our way and we don't have to do what everyone else says we have to do. All right, that's what I have for you this week. But if you want to do more of the things your way and you're struggling to implement that on your own, I want you to go over to my website and sign up for a one-on-one coaching consult call. I want to talk to you about how we can do more of the things your way in your life. And then we can also talk about working together if that seems like something you want to do. All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Love Your Job Before You Leave It. We'll have another episode for you next week. And in the meantime, if you're feeling super fired up, head on over to CoreyLynn.com for more guidance and resources.